Hey, Tom, I'm excited. This week I get to interview Claire.
So the podcast is now just you talking to our friends? I mean, am I going to be on next week?
Well, you're on every week.
Home to stand your ground. 2, 3, 4.
Hi, I'm Becca Clegg, and this is the Inner Alchemy Podcast. Join me in conversations with some of my favorite healers and helpers as we explore all the ways we can restore balance within ourselves. The world heals one person at a time, and the healing starts now. Hi, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Inner Alchemy Podcast. This week we have a special guest on. Her name is Claire Pearson, and she happens to be one of my best friends. So this episode was fun. Claire is what I like to call a joy coach. After years of doing what was expected of her and finding none of it made her happy, Claire reclaimed her role in the driver's seat of her own life. By starting to live her life for herself again, she reclaimed joy and now helps others do the same by having a corporate executive salary, stay-at-home lifestyle, and rockstar fun. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I always appreciate people taking their time.
I'm excited about getting to do it.
Well, thank you. I am too. Okay, so what I want to kind of start with is this idea of getting off the hamster wheel of life and having fun with what you do. I know your journey, but the audience doesn't. So just tell us a little bit, like, how did you come to this?
Well, I would say my journey has been very organic. And I think that I was living this philosophy, but I didn't even know I had a philosophy. And I think it's been within the last year and a half where I've really been able to articulate that the thing that I have found to be true in life is when you follow your passions, when you follow your fun, life kind of works. It's effortless. You're in the zone, you're in the flow, and you feel good. And, over time, and I think just trial and error, you think about, I don't feel good. I'm unhappy. I'm miserable. I'm sick, all these things. Well, maybe that's an indicator, at least it was for me, that I wasn't quite in alignment with my higher self.
Right.
And once I was able to kind of shift some things around and get into alignment with who I truly am and what my gifts really are, suddenly all those things went away, and life was really fun.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to, Claire and I have been talking about having her on the show since I started it, because you, more than anyone I personally know, you really practice the message that you preach. I don't know anybody who does what she says as well as you do. You really take the message of go for it and embody what your true desire is, more than a lot of people, I should say. So, I'm excited to have this conversation because I think so many people need to hear that it is possible, and that they really have the ability to become who they want to be, even if they're sitting in a place where they feel like, God, I don't even know how to begin.
Yeah. A lot of clients come to me middle age, maybe mid-30s, but usually it's in middle age. And the story is, I've done everything I thought I was supposed to do. And my particular client base has actually done it quite well. And I'm still not happy. What gives? And that's a really sad moment to sort of feel like I played by the rules. I did the things I was supposed to do, and yet whatever it was that I thought was going to be on the other side isn't there. And now I'm 40, 50, 60. Do I even have time? That's kind of where people who want to work with me start for the most part. You're nodding your head like you get it.
Well, I'm just thinking about how you and I became friends and how, we met through, I think it was business that put us together. But the minute we both realized our life path had been so similar in that we did all the right things, super type A, go out and get it and do it. And, but here we are, gosh, what were we, mid-30s? And both having we're going through divorces, both having to kind of reconcile with what are we doing? Thank God we
And
met.
both of us are super ambitious. And
Yeah.
I find like that's even a whole nother thing in and of itself. You know,
Mm,
if you go to my website, Claire Pearson Coaching, um, I talk about working with boss babes, you know, working with high achievers, working with high earners. Um, I think there's some specific things that this group of people, especially women in this group, experience. And for a lot of them, fun has left the building.
yeah.
Fun has run screaming from the building.
Yeah.
Because what starts to happen is you start prioritizing all of the other stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Fun almost feels like it's something that you'll get to do one day when you finally have time.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean so that's what I want to kind of explore, because when I met you, you were the CFO or CEO. You were high up in a corporate company. You were doing your own band. I mean, you were going after your passions, but you had this very busy work life. And I remember being so inspired by the fact that, like, oh my God, I've always wanted to sing. I mean, God, I wanted to do a million things, but here you were doing it. And to be quite frank, I've told you this, but you brought out a lot of fun in me. So what made you decide? Is that just something you've always done, gone for it, or did you have a reckoning moment where you were like, it's now or never, I'm doing this?
It's a little bit of both. I did have a reckoning moment. One of my very close friends, I was
Mm-hmm.
35. She had a stroke and died at 42.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with her in the hospital when she was having to make a decision to be pulled off life support, which she did choose for herself. Um, I just distinctly remember being like, I'm 7 years away from 42. What if I only have 7 years left?
Yeah, yeah,
Am I living the life? Is this what I want?
yeah.
That was a really defining moment for me. And in keeping with that experience, Patty was one of the very first people I ever played my songs for. For those of you that are listening and may not know me, I'm a singer songwriter and I'm in a band
Mm-hmm.
called the Ormuds. And I would write songs and just kind of sing them to Patty,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
basically. And she would always say, you need to go out, you need to perform, you've got to do this. And of course, I was always busy with work
Mm-hmm.
or busy with my kids. I had two very
Mm-hmm.
little kids. So I didn't. So the day of her funeral, I actually sang Amazing Grace at her funeral. And then I got in my car and I drove home and I went to the Red Light, which is a music venue here in Atlanta. And they had an open mic that night. And I put my name on that list. And I got on that stage and I played two of Patty's favorite songs.
Oh my God, I just got goosebumps all over. And as I say on every single show, that's my sign when my body lights up.
So I had a real clarity around if I'm only going to live for 7 more years,
Yeah.
how am I going to do it? And I knew in my gut that music was a piece of my life that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
And honestly, when I was younger, if I had in any way had an opportunity to pursue it full time, or if it had felt like it was viable, I would have done it in a heartbeat. It just kind
Mm-hmm.
of felt like once I graduated from college, I was supposed to go out and get a job.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like that was reasonable to like go join a band. Like
Yeah.
you can do it when you're in college, but
Right.
like
Right.
fun's over now. Get a job.
Right.
So I knew music was something I wanted. So that in that particular sense, there was a defining moment that I'm a creative person and I wasn't living a life that was as creative as I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't expressing myself in a way I wanted to express myself. And at that moment, I went and did that. Now, my other stuff, I think there's not necessarily been a defining moment. It's been the willingness to just try
Mm-hmm.
um, and see what works, and see what doesn't work and then try again. I think and that might be a temperament thing. My mom has said that when I was little, I was, I was never afraid. I was
Yeah.
not risk averse,
Yeah.
and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and it's interesting. A lot of the people that I work with have a very a very big history with partying. A lot of my clients mid-age, when they were in their teens and their 20s, heavy partying. And I have come to believe that entrepreneurs do not fear risk. And when you can channel that side of you into constructive things, you can build amazing businesses, you can do amazing things. But when that piece of the entrepreneur, even as a young adolescent, is not really channeled properly, I think it can translate into high risk behavior or isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And just not afraid of the risk. And so I look back, one of the things I did, I had a chance to study at Oxford when I was in college. I went to University of Georgia. They had like a summer program. So when I was there, I took it really seriously. I studied all the time. And when I got home, I was kind of like, I might have played that wrong because I really didn't sightsee. I didn't really do a lot of like travel. I was like really immersed in like the educational experience, which quite frankly was incredible. But I decided I needed to go back. And so I worked, waited tables, saved my money, went back the next summer. And so one of the things I did, which at the time seemed like a really normal thing to do, but in hindsight, and when I share this with people, I realized, oh, that's not so normal. The second day I was there, I was in London, I realized I didn't know anybody. I had this moment of like complete freedom. Like, I know nobody here. I have no family here. I did not come with a friend. Nobody. I can do anything I want. And so I shaved my head.
Oh my God. I don't know this story.
Yes, you have. You've seen the pictures. I'll give you some pictures when it grew back. But okay. So remember, like my age group, Sinead O'Connor was a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Dolores O'Riordan from Cranberries Girls, she was a thing. I had always wanted to just shave my head and be like those singers, and I never would have had the courage to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Like people would have freaked out if I had shaved my head in 1992.
Yeah, I know.
In my middle upper class, military Christian suburb that I grew up in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So second day I'm in London, shaves a head. And it was just awesome. And I just let it grow back. And then as it started growing in, I always also wanted to be a blonde. I naturally have very, very dark hair. And I started bleaching it. And it was hideous because, when you bleach black hair, it like turns orange. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, I just was doing it, which, when I think back about that, it just was like the next logical step for me. It was just like no one knows me. I've always wanted to do this. Now's my chance. Buzz it off,
Yeah.
But as I get older, I realize that's very unusual.
Yeah.
Maybe other people would have those thoughts and not do it.
Well, no, but I mean, I think as I'm listening to you, I'm realizing for the millionth time why we're such good friends, because we have these parallel lives. Because I remember studying abroad in London, and I pierced my nose for the same reasons. Now, here's how I see our friendship. You shaved your head, I pierced my nose. Like, you're like one step ahead of me. You're always one or 2 degrees more than me. But that's you, and that's organically who you are. But I think, what you and through your work do for people is shine that light on possibility. Like, why not? I wanted to talk a little bit. I know this is more of a joy project, but I'm very inspired by it. When the world kind of turned upside down, when the pandemic started, what you and your husband did with the farming and the growing vegetables was just so cool. And again, I see this as being like such a pivot. Like, you just pivoted and said, all right, I'll find my joy here. I'll find the fun here. Can you talk just a little bit and share with the audience about what you did and how you've made it into a fun project?
So, and this is kind of a fun story too. So this story actually really illustrates something that I think I talk to a lot of my clients about. So maybe your listeners will enjoy, which is we can think we know what's coming. We can have a plan. We think, but we don't know. You have no idea, right? And so just being willing to be open to whatever is coming your way, I think is so important when we talk about fun, right? So I say that to say I'm a city girl. I have lived in downtown Atlanta for the majority of my life. We had some instances with crime, and we ended up moving our family with our 2 kids to the burbs. That was just mentally for me an adjustment. I'm very happy where I am. I'm very happy we came. No complaints. But it's a little bit of an adjustment. And we ended up with an acre of land, which is actually not something that I would have ever purchased. I would have probably been happier to have like a little townhome, with like light stuff. But we had 3, my husband had 2 100-pound rescue dogs, and then we had a third 100-pound rescue, and they needed the space, and it was in our price point. So we bought this house with all this yard, and then we proceeded to not really use it. So when the pandemic hit, we were quarantined. And we started having conversations about, space and just making sure everybody had enough space to be able to have some privacy, right? Because the kids are home from school, we're all working. So the first thing my husband did was build a pergola. And there's a YouTube video on the pergola, and it's really nice, so that I could have a space. But that got me outside some more. And then we started thinking about, gosh, all our gigs are canceled. And at first it was kind of like, okay, we'll wait this out. But then we started realizing, like 3 months in, they're all going to be canceled. Like, we're not going to have any shows this year.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to be creative? So that's what was starting the conversation. We were already spending a little bit more time outdoors because of the pergola. Everybody's on top of each other. And I was just like, why don't we grow food? Like, let's see if we can grow food for our family of 4. We've got the space. We're not using it. And so luckily for me, Dawn was on board with it, and it's been really fun. We document it on our YouTube channel every week. It's been an amazing source of lessons, just life lessons coming from this garden. Sometimes I think, okay, this is how the universe is talking to me, is through these plants.
And that is what I love many things about it, but go check out their YouTube channel specifically because I think you do such a great job of, it's not just about how to grow food, although if you're interested in that, you walk people through that, and it's so inspiring to see that anyone can do it. But you're finding the metaphors and the really juicy bits, and I love it. I also love how you pivoted instead of being so concrete around, oh no, we can't gig, we can't be creative as a duo. You found another outlet for it. And I think when you're following what's fun, and this is something I have to remind myself of all the time, there's so many ways to express, and there's so many ways to let that energy come through. And I don't know about you, but I can get very caught up in, but that's not what I do, right? I'm a therapist, or I'm a, whatever my title is. And then I have to recognize that, I, like you said, I need to be able to be open to where that energy wants to go. And it's typically where I'm having the most fun. And I forget that.
Yeah. Well, fun drives so much. I mean, the thing is, in order to be in a place where you can receive fun, you are open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're open. You're not closed. You're open, and you're curious. I think curiosity is a big part of fun. Yeah. You're willing to explore. You're up for an adventure. Whatever that might look like. Right? Yeah, I think that fun, what I see when I follow my fun, and following my fun, I want to be clear, does not always mean it's an easy path. Yeah. One of my passions is food, and one of the things that following my fun got me into was a co-owner of a market deli in downtown Atlanta. There's 2 locations, and one location does really well, but the new location opened right before COVID. And so we never really had a chance to build any sort of solid base before everything started shutting down. And, that's an example of I followed my fun, and that hasn't necessarily been an easy journey. Right?
Right.
So I don't want to confuse anybody and think if you're following your fun, it's easy. It's not that it's easy. It's just that when you're following your fun, even when it's hard, you don't mind doing it.
So that was my next question, because I think this is so, every single person that I've probably ever worked with has run up against this. And that is, okay, so you follow your fun. How do you stay with it when it stops being as much fun as it was when you started?
Well, I think that when something just becomes not fun, then you've outgrown it, and it's
Okay.
time to move on, right?
Okay.
If it's just not as fun today as it was, 6 months ago, then I think that you just have to evaluate, like, well, so here's the question, right? What would make this more fun? I ask myself that question 100 times a day. If I'm at Sprouts grocery shopping, I'll be like, is this fun? No. What would make it more fun? And then maybe I do a little dance while I'm walking my cart down the thing,
Right.
And suddenly I'm having a little bit more fun.
And for those of you listening who do not know Claire, I am promising you she's being serious. She really does dance down that aisle. Like, really.
I mean, I'm not obnoxious about
it.
No,
you're awesome.
I got a little booty kick. I think there's just, also for you guys listening who can't see me, you're really missing out because my outfit is extraordinary.
Claire wore her fun shirt today, which I love. Go check us out on YouTube.
Becca, it's not a fun shirt. Girl, it's a romper.
Oh my God. Claire Pearson. We gotta talk offline about where you got that.
I got a romper, girl. It's no fancy shirt. Hang on a second. I can't get my thing in my ear now. Hang on.
Hold on. Back to serious face.
Have you ever had a fashion show in one of your podcasts before?
No, this is a first, and I love it.
I bring it. So I think, fun doesn't, I guess what's interesting about where I'm at right now is like fun does not have to mean roller coasters and Six Flags and big extravagant trips or vacations. Fun doesn't have to be expensive. I think a lot of us, especially as we lose ourselves in the world of adulting, we start associating fun with my week of vacation. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that sad?
Or fun is when I shop and I buy a purse.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. I mean, fun really can be going through the grocery store and making up stories in your head about who the other people in the grocery store are and where they came from and where they're going. I mean, that's a way to have more fun.
Yeah.
Right? And
Absolutely.
To be playful.
Absolutely. It reminded me, and I will say, I think, again, I owe a lot to you, Claire, because you have really helped me become, to be quite frank, more fun in our friendship. It's not that I'm not fun. I think I can just get bogged down by, I don't know, shoulds and whatnot. And last year, I spent a good deal of time in a period where I was feeling a lot of burnout, seashell hunting for no gosh darn reason other than I really liked it. And I would, I had the privilege of being near the beach, and I would walk up and down the beach as I would walk, and I would just look for the prettiest shells. And my husband was like, what the hell are you going to do with all these shells? I'm like, I have no idea. And I ended up putting them in a garden. But the point was, I just really liked it. And it reminded me of being a kid. And it just reminded me. And so tomorrow, someone told me it was sand dollar season. And so I'm going to go sand dollar hunting. But,
I want to go.
Yeah, I know. I wish you were here. But, the truth is, I don't need sand dollars. And I have no clue. It's more about the process, and I think what you're talking about with the grocery store is so profound because when I was a little kid, I would spend hours in my own little fantasies. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I know we, as adults, we have things we have to show up for and responsibilities. But when we lose that part of us, there's a sadness there, and I think so many people in building businesses or trying to, do serious things, forget that that's magic. At least I think it is.
I think it's total magic. And, it's interesting just listening to you talk about the kids. So they say that what you wanted to be when you were 12 years old is probably the closest version of maybe where your higher soul wanted to be. So do you remember what you wanted to be when you were 12?
I did. I wanted to be
was it?
A singer. Mm-hmm. Mm. And I'm about to admit something. I cannot believe I'm going to admit this on a podcast, but if I'm ever in a funk, one of the things that can usually bring me out of it is if I play. There's like a handful of bands. Dixie Chicks is one of them. There's a couple others that are female acoustic singers who do harmony, and I imagine that my sisters and I are on stage performing because I grew up with this Irish family, and we almost all of us play guitar, almost all of us sing, and we would do sing songs all the time. And I will think about being a singer. So it's just funny that you say that. And I will have a concert in my head, and then I'm usually in a good mood.
And then you feel good. There you go. Problem solved. When you're 12 years old, if you can think to that, and I always like to ask clients that question, especially the ones that aren't sure, what they want to be when they grow up or what they want to do. A lot of people come to me with the awareness of like, I don't want to keep being unhappy. And I agree. Like you were not put on this earth. For anyone out there that needs to hear this, please know you were not put on this earth to be miserable. Suffering is in no way noble.
God, thank you. Yeah.
Right? Suffering is not noble. You are not here to play small. And there is no right or wrong way. I have a lot of clients that struggle with making a choice because they're not sure if it's the right choice. As if in their mind there's one path, and that's the path they better stay on.
Yep.
And if they put their toe over there on that path, well, they might get in trouble or something bad's going to happen to them. So stay on the path, right?
Right.
What if life was like endless possibilities of paths that always intersect at multiple times, and the whole point is to have a good journey?
Yes.
And you can pop on any path you want to at any time, and nothing bad is going to happen to you.
Yes.
You're going to be just fine, right?
So what I love about what you're saying, Claire, is you're looking at life with this huge permissive, like so much permission and so much, it's fine. Give it a shot. There's so much possibility in what you're saying. And I want to go back to what I was saying just for a second about the sort of fantasy of being on stage and being the Dixie Chicks. Here's the deal. I'm not a singer. I'm not going to pursue that. It's okay. I play guitar. I enjoy it. I love it. But when I'm on stage and I'm teaching and there is this group in front of me, I'm singing my song, and it's not literal, right? But I never would have been able to see that if I hadn't been willing to explore all the different like truths behind it. And so when you have an urge that maybe seems crazy, like, what? Oh, I'm not a singer, or, recognize that it might be the energy and it might be the spirit of that thing that wants to come forth through your adult life. You know what I mean? Because if you shut it down, because like Claire was saying, it's not the path, then you've just lost the magic that was coming through. And again, that's why I think your message is so important.
I think the permission piece is I've never used that word to describe what I'm talking about and what I do, but I think it's a perfect word. I do believe that anything is possible. I do believe in permission. At some point in my life, I think I started recognizing that, I don't know. I think I started recognizing that like I wasn't benefiting anyone else by playing small. And I wasn't benefiting anybody else by hiding my talents. And then I started thinking about, well, what if I have these talents for a reason and then I'm not even using them? Right? Like, what if on my hunt to make sure I can pay my mortgage and make sure I have enough money in the bank to retire? That's literally like, right? You get out of college and now it's time to get a job and go adult.
Yep. I hear
right?
you. Yes.
And have my proper 2 kids, which, I love dearly. And I would not change the experience of motherhood at all. But I think I was just very much on this path. Right.
Yeah.
And that path doesn't include like changing courses. Like my kids are in high school right now, and I find it absurd that we're asking a 17 or an 18-year-old kid to decide what their major is going to be.
I agree.
It is so ridiculous. And I got a kid who's getting ready to start applying to colleges, and like some of the applications ask for you to put on it what you think like. How would you know? They're just getting started. The whole point of having that experience is to learn about a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
So that you can have lots of different ideas and interests, and then maybe you can hone in on it. But take that to the next step. I have clients who went to law school, became lawyers, have worked in a law firm for 20 years and they hate it.
Yes. Yeah.
They hate it. And it's like, well, why didn't you do something else? Well, I mean, I'd already gone to school.
I've invested.
We've invested so much money.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at the firm now for, 5 years. What's another 5 more?
Mm-hmm.
But right? And the mortgages get bigger and the cars get bigger and the private schools, start coming. I mean, the whole thing, I was totally in that race, in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're in that spot and you feel kind of unhappy, I want to just validate for you. It was really difficult for me to acknowledge my unhappiness because I felt like it was a form of ungratefulness. Like I was aware that I was succeeding. I was aware that on paper I had it pretty good. I was aware that by all outward appearances, I was kicking it, and so it made me feel guilty when I felt like I wasn't loving every second of it.
I hear that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, well, you have it better than other people, so suck it up, buttercup, right? It's that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now I've come to learn when you're not happy, you're not on track.
Yeah. So true. And,
right?
Well, 100%. And that you have, again, I'll use the word permission to look into that, be curious about it. It's so many of us, I think, unfortunately, are just so, perhaps we're indoctrinated. I don't know where the messaging comes from, but to this idea of, well, that's life. That's just how it goes. You
that's
work
just
Monday
growing
through Friday.
Old.
Yeah, you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And where this messaging came from, we can have a whole podcast about that. But it's no one's going to do it for us. Like we have to go in and like press pause or press stop and just like
and be okay
reevaluate
with it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to help convey this season is this idea that you have the permission, the authority, and the tools within you to heal. Now, whatever heal means, heal is a broad word right now, but right now we're talking about it, change paths. And I think so many people look outside for permission, right? They look for someone else to tell them that they can. It's okay. You can quit your job at the law firm. And again, that's one of the things I love about you and what you put out in the world, because you decided one day, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be in a band. And then you made it happen. Or I'm going to grow my vegetables. And then you didn't ask somebody, can I put it on YouTube? Or can I say that I'm doing this? You just did it. And it's this idea that, and I think honestly, as our society is shifting, this idea that father knows best, or that we have some kind of hierarchical structure where somebody else has the power and we have to ask for it, is crumbling. And in this way, we're starting to see that, wow, there's so much that lies inside of us. And I just think you do a beautiful job of portraying that.
Well, thank you. That's so nice.
No, it's true though. And it's that message that I think you give your clients. I mean, in talking to you about what you do, you help them see you can do it. And then I assume you help them strategize as to how.
Yeah. I mean, there's no limitations. Anything is possible. And again, that doesn't mean it's easy.
No.
Right?
For sure.
But anything is possible. I think back to the times in my life when I was doing everything right. I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to be doing. And, I was busy. But because it wasn't the right thing, I was exhausted. I had migraines like 50% of the month. I had migraines. I didn't have a lot of time for self-care. I definitely didn't have any time for friendships. If I had any time for people, it was my kids and my husband. And I just really I remember waking up and just being like, is this it? Like, is this what it's going to be every day? And I think I was having those thoughts in my early 30s. I think Patty dying when I was 35 was a good little exclamation point to okay, get off the pot,
Yeah, for sure.
But I do think, to be honest, one of the things I tell clients a lot is say yes to everything. So the Patty thing couldn't have happened if I hadn't made a few other decisions prior to that. So when I had my second child, when I was pregnant with my second child, I just knew I had to have some me time. I was actually in the middle of opening a business out of state. I had a 3-year-old. I mean, there was a lot happening. And so I decided that at that point in my life, I could afford to give myself an hour of vocal coaching a week. That was it. And I actually remember sitting in my car questioning if I really should spend this money on this or if it wasn't wasteful, right? With a baby on the way.
Right.
But I decided that I was worth it. And so I got paired up with Heidi Higgins, who's now also one of my great friends. You know Heidi? And we co-write together. But Heidi, in a lot of ways, started maybe some of this. She believed in me. You know, when I went, I just wanted to take voice lessons. In fact, I think I told her that I would be really happy to like sing jazz standards at the Ritz-Carlton one night, you know? But Heidi was like, no, I think you have something to say. And so then she encouraged me to take guitar lessons. And let me tell you how dumb you feel waiting outside of your guitar lesson and like 11-year-olds come out and you are a 6-month pregnant 33-year-old woman.
I'm sure.
And then you get out with your good guitar and your waddle and there's another 10-year-old sitting there waiting to go in after you. I mean, it's like totally humbling. And I can't tell you how many people told me I was too old. People just could not believe that I was learning to play the guitar. You started playing the guitar as an adult too, right? Did you play as a kid?
I did. Nope, I didn't play as a kid.
Who
says that shit? Come on. So people told you were too old?
I had not only did a lot of people tell me I was too old and think it was really kind of weird that I was taking guitar lessons. Like I grew up playing piano. So I play instruments. I can read music, but the guitar, you know, again, this is sexist, but like when I was growing up, girls didn't really play the acoustic guitar, you know?
Right.
Guys did. My dad played the guitar, but I just sang. I don't think it ever really occurred to me that I too could play the guitar. And to be honest, maybe I tried a couple of times when I was little and it was hurt my fingers.
Yeah.
You know, like the piano was just easier. No, lots of people told me I was too old. And not only did a lot of people tell me I was too old, but I then recorded a demo and started sending it off to different festivals or radio stations or whatever for play. And a lot of people at that point thought I had lost my mind. I had a couple of friends and I had a family member sit me down and talk to me about this dream. And, you know, this is a youth industry and aren't I a little bit too old? And now I have 2 babies and what do I really think is going to happen? And, you know, people can poo-poo you sometimes. Now, of course, for me, I don't know why, I guess I'm just stubborn. It just kind of rolled off my back. But I do have clients who, if their spouse or their mother or somebody is really not on board with what they want to do, like that's enough to kill it, you know?
100%. And here's, you won't do this, but I just, to bring this to light, I'm going to kind of speak to where that went, right? You have a band, you have albums, you've played with other well-known people. Were you a songwriting coach at Jan Smith Studios? I mean, like your career has been great. And the thing is even if you just learned to play guitar and you felt joyful, that is success. But that's why I think you model this message of follow it, see where it goes. It's your one beautiful life. Why not? And I just think that message is clearly invaluable. So I want to go back to that 30-year-old self that was sitting there with the guitar and she's, you know, got a 10-year-old in front of her and a 14-year-old that just left. What's one thing you'd say to her if you had it all? Like, what's one thing you'd kind of like whisper in her ear and tell her, kind of give her a little bit of like a head start?
I would say you are a total effing badass. You have no idea how powerful you are. Do not look back.
I love it.
Don't lose a wink of sleep. Make your choices, make them fiercely. You're strong, you're tough, you've got this. I mean, really, I say to my clients all the time, my favorite phrase is badass. It's like, you're a badass. You're a total badass. And it's like, I didn't know I was a badass at 30.
Yeah.
But I was.
What?
And everybody listening, sorry to cut you off, but like everyone out there that's listening, you know, everybody is a badass. We all have this inner badass, and it's like, unleash the beast, folks.
Right. And you didn't cut me off. I was having my moment where I was like, yes, I was over here having my like proselytizing moment. You didn't cut me off at all. Okay, so this is something that I think you just naturally convey in all of the work that you do. So take a minute just to tell the folks listening how they can find you, what the easiest way to just connect with your work in the world is.
Okay. So I have my hands in a number of pots. And that's, again, just part of, you know, how my life works. So if you go to Claire Pearson Coaching, then you can learn a little bit more about me. And on the website, there's also some of the other jobs and companies that I work with, that I'm very proud to work with, that are listed, and you can kind of check those out as well. But you can email me at claire@clairepearsoncoaching.com. And I'd love to hear from you. I do free consultations if anybody's interested in, you know, just having a quick chat to see if it's a good fit. I'm open to that too.
And she'll email you back, real life person. So
I will email you.
Yes.
Back.
Yes. Claire, thanks for being on the show. I always love connecting with you. I'm glad we finally made it happen. So
I know.
A long time in the making. So y'all go check out all of her stuff, Instagram, all of it. And again, just thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for being on the podcast.
And I just want to put a bug in your ear. I think it was about 4 years this time that you sat in this office and told me that you wanted to do a podcast.
Was that 4 years ago? That is so crazy to me.
And you sat right there, and here you are doing it.
I know. Again,
on your second season.
People, the message, like, I just do it. Yeah, just do it. I mean, life is short. Thank you for being with us today for this episode of the Inner Alchemy Podcast. You can always find out more about me and these episodes at my website, www.rebeccaclegg.com. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.